who will have better future? The people who are using AI or the people who are developing their brain more? That okay, my job will be replaced by AI. What important point about human brain you want them to remember and understand so that they feel less anxious about it?
I would only advise them to use AI. That's the only thing.
In future, we don't need more intelligent or smart humans, but we need humans which are more present.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Welcome to Life Architects, a space where we stop hoping for a better life and start designing one. In today's world, I genuinely think that this episode, especially when it will be live, audience is going to share with their friends at 2 a.m. in the night and would say you have to really watch this. We are in the middle of a technological shift, a greatest technological shift in the human history, where everyone is worried about whether AI will replace my job. Everyone has that question in mind. Where the question should be how human mind actually works and what part of human mind can AI replace practically. I'm here today joined by Paul. Hello, Paul.
Yes, nice to be
meeting
here.
you. He's a good philosopher, famous author of book Cloudless Mind, and I guess multiple other books as well, right?
A few, yeah.
He's someone who helps to understand neuroscience and non-duality, not only in an understandable way, but also funny way.
I try not to make it too serious.
Thank you so much, Paul, for joining in. Paul, for our listeners listening you first time, can you tell them what do you do and what led you to do that?
Life led me to do it. 'Cause everything goes automatically if we look at non-duality. But what I do, I perform for companies. I'm combining humor with neuroscience. So I make a lot of jokes while I talk about human behavior. And from time to time I give lectures about non-duality. That's a smaller group, and that's of course the Indian philosophy. And that's what I do every day.
So when you say non-duality, to our listeners, can you tell what non-duality is?
Yeah, it takes a scientist 10 years to comprehend
Yeah.
it, but let's summarize the three sentences.
Maybe you can summarize it like you are explaining it to 10 years old.
Yeah. That's the best way.
Yeah.
Non-duality, it means not two. So it's pointing to the idea that everything is one. So everything is one consciousness. And in this reality, everything is one consciousness at play. So everything is simply happening as it's happening. And why do people suffer so much? Because we think we are a separate individual and that we constantly need to control life and be good enough. And that gives us a lot of stress. So if once you reach a more level of enlightenment, you become aware that you are simply consciousness and everything is perfect the way it is. So it gives a lot of rest. It's a very small summary.
But then don't you think if non-duality concept really is practical in life, in day-to-day life, AI would never have been discovered? Because if there is no competition, of course, companies won't run towards discovering.
No, non-duality is just pointing to the idea that we are all being programmed. We have a certain biological programming and we have DNA and conditioning. And it's our condition to simply invent new stuff and to be a bit competitive. So therefore, new technologies simply arise. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. And how non-duality and neuroscience are connected?
Because neuroscientists have trying to figure out how our brain creates consciousness, but it's impossible to detect it. So what they are referring to now more and more often is that the brain does not create consciousness, but it's an appearance in consciousness. So it's like a radio does not create wavelengths, waves. It's the receiver of waves. So in a way, our brain does not create consciousness, but it is consciousness actually. So consciousness is prior to our brain.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's quite an astonishing thing to discover. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So maybe let's start with the basic, Paul. So as we all say that, okay, AI is going to replace human brain, human jobs, and sometime AI is getting better day by day. uh, to go into deep, first I want to understand what actually human brain is. Can you explain?
Yes, the way to talk about it, we can divide it into three parts. So the oldest part is called our reptile brain, and that simply wants to survive and wants to feel trust. Then there's the mammalian brain, or the limbic system, and that's the emotional brain, so feelings and emotions. And then we've got our neocortex, that's the rational brain. Now, if we look at AI, the AI can simply beat our brain with the rational part, because it can analyze data way faster than our brain can. However, an AI doesn't have got any consciousness, so it doesn't have the feeling of trust or love, and it doesn't have any emotions or feelings. So only living creatures like human beings have consciousness and therefore can experience the world. And an AI is actually very stupid because it can create great music, but it cannot enjoy listening to the music. So our consciousness is the most valuable thing there is, actually.
But don't you think that music created by AI, when it will be listened by humans, so humans' emotional part of the brain could enjoy that music?
Absolutely. So there was a number one country song in the United States created by AI. It was in the billboards at number one. So, and sometimes I listen to AI music myself, and it's quite amazing. So, but what AI actually does, it's stealing the creativity from humans, it's combining it, and then comes up with a new idea. So, but actually our brain does the same, because if you want to write a song yourself, you're first putting a lot of songs in your head, and actually the brain is doing the same as the AI, with the difference that our creativity is still better than the AI, but also we can eventually also enjoy the music we are writing or listening to. And the AI doesn't have got a clue. So the tricky thing about AI is that it doesn't have got any consciousness, so it doesn't do a reality check. So therefore it's simply fantasizing a lot and hallucinating, and also is creating what they call AI slop. It's creating a lot of garbage as well.
What do you mean by it's creating a lot of garbage? You mean a lot of garbage data?
Also data, but also stupid music or videos. So when I'm asking you a question, like imagine I ask you, what is 38 plus 2,491 divided by 3? Then right now you would say, I do not know, because you are aware that it's too complex for you to give me the answer. An AI doesn't have the reality check, so it will simply, now it most probably can do the math, but sometimes it simply doesn't know stuff, and then it doesn't say, I do not know, it starts to hallucinate.
But if you specifically ask AI, don't hallucinate and only give me answer if you know it, then I guess it will give you either the correct answer, or it will say, I don't know.
But there are a lot of mistakes still with AI. So, for instance, if I'm playing chess with an AI, I am aware that I'm playing chess. An AI doesn't have got any clue what's doing. It's simply calculating. So it's a really strange kind of intelligence. It's very helpful in some ways, but in some ways it's a bit stupid.
So what you're saying is right now AI can replace the rational part of our brain, but not the other parts.
Yes.
Which is one part which
it's, for instance, the first thing our brain does when I'm meeting you, the first thing our brain is scanning, do I trust this person? Now, I do trust you, so that's safe. Second thing that the brain is telling, does this give me pleasurable feelings or emotions? So it's the emotional part. Do we have fun together? And then the rational part comes in later. But an AI doesn't have got anything to do with trust or feelings. So that's therefore these kinds of human behavior, like creating trust and connecting with customers, will become more and more important, because an AI can never do that. An AI is only beneficial for the rational part of the brain.
But don't you think, I have heard stories from my friends in the news that in current time many people discuss their problems or their life more with the AI and less with their friends and humans, and they are getting more emotionally connected with AI. Isn't it true?
It's true, because an AI can definitely give you some psychological advice.
Yes,
I've done it myself
Okay.
when a relationship ended. And I was thinking, do you think... So sometimes it comes up with nice answers, but what it doesn't do, when you're connected to a human being, it releases oxytocin, so there's trust, and it releases serotonin, so you become emotionally more balanced. And that's something an AI can never do for you. So it gives you answers that makes you feel a bit better and sometimes useful, but it can never really replace a human being. Although sometimes you feel emotionally connected to the AI. I was asking ChatGPT a thing, and it came up with something brilliant, and I wrote "thank you," and I'm like, why am I thanking a robot? So sometimes because
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is happening not only with you, but a lot of people.
A lot of people,
Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes people fall in love with an avatar. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But then how do you think AI is giving you psychological advice, is understanding you more, giving you solution? Because it's not the rational part of mind that does that, right?
The good thing about AI, it can analyze data way faster than we can. So I had an issue with someone who was working for me, and I added the WhatsApp history for 4 years to the AI, and I asked some questions, and it can do the analysis in seconds. Well, if I have to read 4 years of WhatsApp messages, first of all, it would take me hours, and secondly, my brain cannot comprehend so much information, so it will start to guess. So sometimes an AI is really amazing. I use it every day, so I like it.
In current times, because of course AI is getting better day by day. Right now, what we see as AI would be very different after 2 years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, which parts of human brain can AI still replace in next coming years?
Tasks that are repetitive, it can do it easily. It doesn't do as much as we thought it could do yet, because in human behavior there are so many exceptions. So there's a lot of routine work that an AI can do as well, but we underestimate the amount of small exceptions there are in every process that our brain knows and can deal with, but an AI will simply not notice it. So the human in the loop is still the most important thing. You can use AI, but there needs to be a human brain involved as well. So they often say the famous sentence like, AI will not take your job, but someone who uses AI will. And I think that's true.
Very interesting perspective on it. AI won't take your job, but someone
who uses AI because if I look at how I'm creating a lot of trainings and presentations for other speakers and trainers, I'm way faster than I was before, because I can do some research through AI. It comes up with new ideas. I can create images, videos, and beforehand I could use Photoshop, and it took me 3 hours to adjust an image that now only lasts 10 seconds. So for me personally, AI is very beneficial, and I'm way faster than I was before. So if there's someone who does the same job in Photoshop, then I'm using Grok and I'm way faster.
So you mean with this technological shift, everyone needs to upgrade themselves as well, start using AI, then only they can survive in the coming years. They can retain their job.
Yeah, then definitely. And our brain does not like change that much. Most brains love routine because it saves energy. But people will be way faster than you are. Like my son, he's dyslexic, but still in his job, before he sends an email, it goes through ChatGPT, so there are no mistakes and errors whatsoever. So he's using the technology to write perfect emails, while for himself that would be hard because he's dyslexic. So it's very beneficial in a way.
That's interesting. I really want to understand more about, you said that, we human are conscious, we human are more aware, we have emotions, we have trust thing. What exactly is consciousness?
Yeah, that's the most difficult question in the world. It's also being referred to in science as the hard problem of consciousness, because we simply do not know where it comes from and what it is. But if we look at the old Indian philosophy, the Advaita Vedanta, for instance, they're pointing to the idea that everything is consciousness. However, the awareness that we are, so we cannot be aware of the awareness we are. So this remains a mystery, what consciousness is. We can only point to the idea that everything is one consciousness. And yeah, what is consciousness? It's for us, the ability to experience. So experience sensory input, experience thoughts and feelings. That's what we can point to.
Okay, so if I can experience anything, that's consciousness. And do you think this consciousness, this ability to experience anything, cannot be developed in AI in coming years?
And AI will never have an experience. The only way, like Neuralink does, to put AI chips in the human brain and to combine those technology. But we simply need a human being in order to experience. There's no other way. Or an animal, of course.
Okay. But then human being with AI chips will replace human beings without AI chips.
We will become some sort of Robocops. But that's a tricky part, of course. Like with Neuralink, if someone has a handicap and the chip can make someone see or speak again, then to me it's perfect. But I'm a bit afraid that we will create some Robocops in the future, or we'll become Terminators. We'll see.
Paul, that's a bit comforting to know that consciousness is something that AI cannot replace. It's irreplaceable. But there also one thought comes to my mind, that in today's busy life, in today's life where our minds are always full of thought, even consciousness is missing from the human beings today. Like, it's
true.
Yeah, it's not there, right?
Now, what you're referring to is like we even have meta consciousness, which means we have, as human beings, the ability to think about our thinking. Not everyone has the same amount of meta consciousness. Some people still believe that all the feelings and thoughts I have, they take them for granted and think they are all true. So the liberation also from the Advaita Vedanta philosophy is you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness looking at the thoughts. And if you realize that all these thoughts are actually not true, they simply come and go, then the brain will start to believe all these thoughts and life becomes way and way more relaxed.
Wow, that was, I guess, very profound and very difficult to understand. But let's dig it deeper. So when you say thought is something that our awareness sees it from a distance.
Yes, and the interesting thing is you do not create your thoughts. Yeah, if you meditate, you can simply be aware that a thought comes in and goes out. But you never know what the next thought will be. Also, you will never know what your next sentence will be.
Yes.
But the brain creates the illusion that you're constantly in control of all that. And this is simply, from our neuroscience, not the case.
But that's how AI also works, on pattern matching. It also don't know what's the next word or
no,
next
it
sentence.
it's just guessing the next word. So our brain works differently, of course, but the liberation is meta consciousness. So the ability to be aware that thoughts and feelings and actions and sensory input, everything in life comes and goes, but you are the awareness in which it comes and goes. And so from out this meta consciousness, there's a lot of liberation. And once you think all these thoughts are true and identify with all these thoughts, you will take them for granted. And this is when we worry a lot, for instance, and get a lot of stress.
So even when we are worried about something, when we are having a lot of thoughts, then also we are conscious and aware. That's what you mean.
Yeah, but there's a difference. So if I have a lot of thoughts of worry, and identify with the thoughts, of course, there's the experience of all the worry and thoughts and the stress that it gives. But the amazing thing is the ability to also look out at that from meta consciousness to see everything comes and goes. But once the identification becomes more and more soft, so to speak, then you start to believe all these thoughts, and then that's a big liberation. This is also why people meditate, and this is also in Taoism or Buddhism what people are referring to.
How meditation changes your meta consciousness?
With meditation, it's simply a technique to become aware that everything comes and goes in consciousness. So if you're really still, you meditate, you can feel or see the thought coming up and going. So then the identification from I am this thought and I created this thought goes to thoughts simply appear and disappear. And it gives a huge relief. And after that, you can also throw a meditation away, and then there's total liberation.
Okay, so what do you mean is that with the meditation, you still have your thoughts coming and going, but you don't stress about it and you don't stress the experience, and you are still in your consciousness.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And when you say that like thoughts come and go, and we when we meditate, thoughts come and go, and we just observe it, and then slowly it becomes, even in the normal routine, slowly our mind is tuned like this if
Yes.
we meditate regularly.
True.
How about you? How do you practice meditation daily, or how is it for you?
No, I meditated sometimes. I do not meditate anymore. So there comes a point where it's simply seen that all these thoughts come and go. And there's also a tricky thing in meditation. Like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi said, you can meditate for 1,000 years and still miss the point. Because, and I would get a little deeper, if the ego thinks I am meditating to become enlightenment, there's still identification. So then it's really the dissolvement of the ego and not the ego trying to get somewhere. So, but that's in the whole process of awakening, it's a tricky thing.
But then how do you know while you are meditating that whether you are doing it in right way or not? That's important, right?
Life will tell you, because life gives us challenges constantly, and if there is identification, you will instantly be stressed again, and there'll be a lot of tension again. So you will feel it eventually.
And how much time does it take to feel that change?
That's different. Everyone's path to awakening is different. Some people only need a few years. Some people need many lives. We never know. There's no guarantee. There's no shortcut.
But you know, Paul, it's very interesting to know. But I'm thinking that we have every sort of thoughts that comes into our mind. It could be any stressful thought, a happy thought, and a thought related to some new idea. So I don't want to just pass on every thought. I want some thoughts to be experienced, some thoughts to perceive, and some thoughts to not focus on. So how our mind differs when our thought comes and goes, and when we really act on the thought, when we really experience that thought. So how it is different for our mind?
Yeah, Ramesh Balsekar is an Indian guru who used to divide the thoughts. There are thoughts of worry, and there are functional thoughts. Like a functional thought is like, I had to be here at 12. So a functional thought is, let's go from home at 11. I can park my car and walk here. Your functional thought was, let's see if the microphones works, if the camera work. These are all functional thoughts, and they will simply continue. The thoughts of worry are, what if the microphone doesn't work? What if the camera crashes? And my thought is worry, what if there's a traffic jam? And what if I can't find the address, you know? So, and eventually when the identification becomes more and more mild, functional thoughts will simply go on, but the thoughts of worry will dissolve more and more. So that's the difference. But of course there are functional feelings and thoughts that they are very useful in daily life.
What do you think is major misconception about consciousness?
A misconception is when people realize that everything is consciousness, and then the ego thinks, once I am aware that everything is consciousness, I'll become enlightened. But then there's still the identification, the ego that thinks that it needs to go somewhere. While the full realization is that you are already enlightened, because there is only awareness. So it's only the identification with this persona that gives us a lot of stress. So that's a tricky thing in the process of awakening. You are already free, but not if you identify with the character.
Can you explain it more?
So when you really think that this is you, and then there are two major issues. The first is you think, am I good enough? Am I intelligent enough? What will people think of me? Am I pretty enough? Am I successful enough? So this gives a lot of stress. And the second thing we worry about is we think we need to control life. And our brain gives us the illusion that we are full in control of everything we do, which is not the case. So this idea of I need to be good enough and I need to control everything, this is when all the stress begins. And once you see through all these illusions, then it dissolves more and more. So it becomes way easier.
Okay. And how does non-duality concept fits in this consciousness stuff?
Well, non-duality simply points to the idea that you are already awareness, you are consciousness, and that this figure within the dream we live in will simply do what it does. So you simply follow your life's path, and nothing in your life could have ever been different from what it is now. And this realization will eventually give the liberation.
Wow, that's such a...
It's very deep, but
yeah,
this I think it's the most, it's the deepest philosophy there is.
Right.
It's also Taoism, and with Spinoza's philosophy for monism, it's all referring to the same idea.
Mm. And when we talk about thoughts, then we also think about overthinking.
Yeah.
So what is overthinking?
Overthinking is like if once you are fully aware that everything is consciousness and that a thought comes and goes, then a thought can come up, even functional thoughts, and it will dissolve. With overthinking, a thought comes up like, what if the microphone crashes? Yeah. So the thought, then we take the thought for serious. We think we created the thought and that it is true, and then there will be panic. So you're already panicking. What if the podcast now ends and the recording is not there? What I'm going to tell Paul? What will people think of me? Then my whole podcast will be crashed. And so then when you take the thought seriously, there's a thought and there's another thought and another thought. And this is when you, especially at night when the neocortex is tired, thoughts run and run and run. And then you start to overthink. And we overthink constantly because we live with the idea that once I think enough, the problem will be solved. But that's never the case.
But like as you said, I was already thinking about it. What if video is I forgot to start the recording. I forgot to, but it's but I don't think it's overthinking. It's just my mind, because for me this is important, so for my mind want it to be.
Yeah, but there's a difference. So a functional thought is what you did, let's check or double check if it's working. This is very functional. Yeah, but the thoughts of worry will be while you're talking to me, that constant is this little voice in your head. If we are done within an hour, I'll first check, and then this is when the flow will be gone, because you're constantly having this talking head.
Yeah, you're right. I will say you can read my mind.
Look, I can't, but. So yeah, and as you can see, you will never know what life does. Like if I'm asking you, if 10 years ago I would have shown you a short video of how your life looks today, you couldn't have guessed anything. You didn't know you would have a daughter or live here or whatever. So we never know how life will go, and you do not even know what the first sentence will be that you will be talking. So the idea that we're in total control, it's really an illusion.
And how to remove that illusion?
To see through who you really are. But that's the deepest philosophy there is. Like Ramana Maharshi is also an Indian guru. He would constantly ask you, who are you? People then think, I'm my body, I am my thoughts, I am my feelings, I am my name, I am what I experienced, I'm my success. But all these labels is not what you are. If you really go down to who you really are, then the only answer there will be is there is only consciousness.
Wow.
But that takes people sometimes a lot of years to comprehend. Yeah.
Of course, I can, because I guess before even AI came into the picture, a lot of people were not even talking about consciousness. As uh, AI is growing, getting better in intellectual cognitive loads.
Yeah.
So people are thinking more about, okay, which part of brain are there which AI cannot replace. Everyone has that thought in their mind.
Yeah, it's, people now more and more think about what's the difference between a human being and an AI, and there is a big difference because an AI can simulate it as if it has consciousness. Because when I was writing a problem to AI, and it's like, oh, I feel terrible for you, and it's pretending like it feels something, but it doesn't know what the feeling is whatsoever. It's just predicting the next logical word. That's the only thing an AI does, which is still amazing that it can do that, but it doesn't have awareness. It doesn't feel anything. It doesn't experience anything, and that's the big difference. And that's, I think, consciousness is the greatest thing, because if you didn't have consciousness, it would be like you're having the greatest party ever in your life while you're unconsciously sleeping on the couch. So you see, so the ability to experience is the greatest thing a human being can have.
If I want to practice consciousness, how should I start?
There are many ways. Some people first go to the rational understanding about how it all works. Some people, that's the jhana way, and then we got the bhakti way from the Indian tradition. It's like to first feel it and afterwards comprehend it. So people would surrender them to the guru or meditate or do all kinds of practices to feel it. That's the other way. But there's a path for everyone. So I do not have a 7-step plan to
But
go
then,
there.
like if somebody wants to practice consciousness with their day-to-day life, work going on, so that they can be conscious and be more present, as
Yeah.
well as they are fulfilling their daily responsibilities, their daily job. Do you have any tip for our listeners? How can they take both of them hand in hand?
There are many ways. Some people through yoga, some people meditate, some people go to a guru, some people read books. You know, there are many ways to get more to the meta consciousness and become aware of what you truly are. And mostly this only starts if people go through a crisis. Because if you're in a total crisis and your whole life collapses, this is mostly the trigger for people to look around, listen to your podcast, read books, like, all right, what's going on? Mostly it starts with that, and then the whole search begins, and life will lead you to the inside automatically. So for everyone, there's a different part. I do not have like practices like you should do this or that. Just see what life presents you. And people who come to my talks, I'm more explaining how it works. So in daily life, you become more and more aware automatically, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm the consciousness and everything simply happens. And then the greatest trigger point is sometimes you instantly feel stress. And this is like a short alarm, like, I'm overlooking something. I'm still fully tensed in the character again, but there is a deeper insight. And then when the insight comes in, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And then you can step back a little and, oh, let's just relax. And trust me, life will give you challenges so you can integrate all that.
Yeah. But I guess development of AI, usage of AI it's increasing day by day as AI is becoming more intelligent. That's also a trigger point and the crisis point where people are started worrying that will I get obsolete in coming times. So,
Yeah, definitely. But don't worry, AI is amazing, but it's totally exaggerated how fast AI will take away your job. They even looked at OpenAI itself, like the company from ChatGPT. How many people are gone here due to AI? But it's still, everyone's still working there. So it's not going as fast as we thought. And of course, some people will go, but there will also be new jobs. And with every technology, people constantly said, like 20 years ago, people said like today people would only work 16 hours per week because there was a lot of digitalization and the computers would do the work. No, everyone's still working many hours. So we're not being replaced that easily, and people forget how amazing a human being actually is and how we can connect and trust and experience pleasure with each other. So these factors become more and more important.
So when you say AI might take some jobs, but it will also create new jobs, what do you mean by that?
Everything that's repetitive, AI can eventually do that better and faster. But the more important things will be for people to connect to other people. So I'm hoping, and also in my trainings, I'm focusing more like, can we reduce the amount of work that we need to do so we've got a bit more time to simply connect and have fun with each other. And I hope we'll go into that direction.
Okay.
Because people, I think it's the good thing about AI. A lot of people have got way too much work, and so the pressure is big in many companies. So if we can reduce that with 20%, that would be already a gift to many people.
If the pressure will be reduced on the people, then companies will think, okay, why we are paying them same like before.
Now, yeah, that's also the morality. People, we now have to think eventually, who are we as human beings, and what's the society we want. But there's still in the world a small amount of greedy bastards running the circus. So I do not know if they will change, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So we have talked about overthinking, thoughts, and then we also talked about trust and emotions, right? So we understood what thought is, what consciousness is. Now, can you explain what emotion is for human mind? How does it produce and how it works?
I do not fully understand the question. The emotion, how it was, and
How so basically emotion, how it gets produced and how it works.
oh yeah. Well, the way we experience the world is through our five senses: thoughts and feelings. So the limbic system, that's the middle part of the brain, it gives us feelings and emotions, and they are very useful because it's also a form of intelligence. So when you make a decision, it's always a combination of thoughts and feelings. And if the amount of thoughts of worry decrease, then your intuition becomes more and more clear. So then it starts to become easier to make a decision eventually. So these thoughts of worry, they actually exaggerate our feelings or destroy your intuition, so to speak. So intuition is a very clever way of intelligence from a human being, and that's intuition is always the combination of thoughts, what you feel from out your stomach, and the functional thoughts.
Yeah, you touched a very good point of intuition, Paul, here, because a few days back I was watching a video of Sadhguru, and he was talking about intuition, and he said that intuition is something computational, and because it's computational, it can be replaced by AI in coming years. What do you think about this?
Of course, you can reduce everything to we're also computational because there are simply neurons firing, and it's maybe even mathematical, but there's still the difference. We can experience the feeling, and an AI can never do that. So that will always remain the difference. So you can even argue that we are an AI ourselves because we have got a certain programming, but still we're even more advanced AI in that case because we can be aware of our own programming, and an AI doesn't have that. So that will always remain the difference.
So, but like when we are feeling something, then internally it's just some neurons which are getting connected or which are having some interactions, right?
Sure.
That's the feeling internally.
Yeah, we can see what's firing in the brain, and then we can even in the brain scanner say, oh, now you're experiencing love or fear or whatever. So we can even see if you're experiencing a red rose looking at it. So it is computational from the scientific viewpoint, but what science does not know or cannot know is why we experience something. So that's the mystery of the qualia, as they say. We can see the computational things and neurons firing, but then we do not know why is there actually the experience of something. So we can see that you're enjoying listening to a song, but why there's the experience of listening to the song, that's the hard problem of consciousness. And then the Indian philosophy comes in and says everything is consciousness. So this whole computational stuff is simply it comes in consciousness and it goes out of consciousness. But consciousness is the fundamental thing. But that's really deep, yeah.
Yeah, it's too deep. But thank you for sharing such insights, Paul.
Yes.
It's really interesting and helpful to understand. So, we have talked about consciousness, emotions, thoughts. I really want to understand that if, like, right now, I guess intelligence, before humans used to be competitive in their work, in school, or in their any area on which they are performing, they are like creating music, anything. There was a competition. They were competitive before.
Yeah.
Because of their intellectual mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because of AI, that intelligence has become cheaper now.
Yeah, definitely. So information used to be very useful and worthful.
Yeah.
But information is nothing anymore, because I can ask my phone within 3 seconds anything I want.
Exactly.
So that's definitely changing our whole economy.
So what will become valuable in coming times?
The way you deliver the information. Yeah. So people are now listening to your podcast, but why do they listen to your podcast? It's because they experience pleasure in doing so. Because they can ask the same questions to ChatGPT, and still they prefer looking at the podcast. So it will definitely not replace anything, or everything. I mean,
yeah, I agree with this perspective. And
people book me as a comedy speaker. They can also ask AI the same questions about topics I tell and show it on the screen, but still people want me to make jokes and entertain the whole audience. So that's the human factor that becomes more important.
Can you tell a joke about consciousness? I know it's too random, but just so that our listeners can experience it.
Yeah. I do not know if I really have a joke about consciousness. Maybe mostly also with non-duality talks it comes in spontaneously.
Yeah.
But now the tricky thing is if I force myself to come up with a joke, then my brain goes in the beta status and there's no creativity there.
Yeah.
It's also jokes come when you're relaxed, you're in the alpha status, and then jokes simply arise. And that's also in comedy the hardest thing. Yeah.
So how did you so when you go on the stage, how do you bring your brain in the alpha state so that you're more creative?
When there's a flow with the audience, so mostly the first 5-10 minutes, people first need to feel safe, and the default mode network needs to be turned off with the audience. So that's where the ego mostly is. When they feel relaxed, you can get a flow. I had it yesterday. It was a great crowd. We got in flow, and then suddenly I'm coming up with new jokes. But that only works if there's the state of flow with the audience. Because if it's a very stubborn audience and people are like, who are you? Then you don't come up with new jokes. Then you simply do your routine. So you want to get in that state of flow. But it's the same with sports, for instance. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a soccer team performs way better because there's the state of flow.
Yeah. It's interesting to know that you perform on stage as well a lot. If you would like to share, we can also attach a link of your performances in the description box so that people can attend that. And of course, I would also like to join sometime.
Yeah. No, I do it mostly every day. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Yeah, but this is the greatest job. You go in, you talk for an hour, you get a round of applause, get some flowers and go back home. So I'm not changing my job. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will not be replaced by AI, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing. That will become more valuable in coming times. As
Yeah, I
well.
think so. Yeah, definitely. So we'll see. Yeah.
So Paul, what do you think in current time parents should prepare their kids for the future, like emotionally, mentally, how they should prepare their kids?
The hardest challenge with children now is the dopamine addiction. So dopamine is when you experience pleasure or motivation, but beforehand, what happened? If you put in some effort, you do some sports, for instance, or you create a song or you're dancing, you put in effort, so then dopamine eventually goes up after you did put in some effort. But now when the children are scrolling on their phone or playing video games, it's instant gratification. So there's constantly too much dopamine hits in the brain. And then what happens, your dopamine receptors get insensitive, and then normal daily life becomes boring. So what children now constantly need is some entertainment around them to feel some enjoyment, and that leads to the latest generation to a lot of depression. So it's nice that we have a phone with TikTok and Instagram, but it's actually killing our dopamine system, and that's one of the biggest challenges for parents, to get them away from the television or away from the computer, etc. So children actually need to be together and have fun in nature. That's the most logical thing. But I had a son myself. I thought it was very hard because it's so addictive, all these games and Minecraft and Fortnite. But it's big. I thought it was a big challenge. Yeah. Your daughter's only 4, so you got some time to go. But
So you say our mind needs to release dopamine to feel happy.
Yeah. So and what it does when brain and our body wants balance. So if dopamine goes up, then it also goes down. It goes every day. So if you've experienced a lot of pleasure, or even if you take drugs and it goes up a lot, there's also the downfall that's very deep. The issue is, if you overwhelm your brain day in, day out, then the baseline of dopamine goes down. So you need more and more impulses and more extreme impulses to feel the same enjoyment. So this is with addiction the hardest thing. If people drink one beer and they never drink, then you feel totally relaxed because of the dopamine. But an alcoholic needs 2 bottles of wine to feel the same thing because their baseline is way lower. So what is very necessary is actually rest. Give yourself some rest and take a walk in the park, go in nature, meet people, so the brain can be balanced again.
Okay. And when you say our dopamine increases and then it goes down, so how the dopamine increase and decrease that is related with consciousness?
Your consciousness is this what experiences it all, yeah. And if you want to have a nicer experience, yeah, then the balance between this dopamine is very, very important. And I'm also talking to myself because I'm way too much on my phone as well. But I know it's actually killing your own happiness. So everything that is instant gratification, even if it's chocolate or scrolling on your phone or computer games or binging Netflix series, that's actually not very beneficial for your long-term happiness.
What should be done as an adult instead of doing these things?
It's the balance, like, of course, have fun playing video games, but if you play video games 8 hours per day, you'll become depressed eventually. So children need to learn to play with each other again, and I'm sounding like an old man now, and have fun in nature. That's actually the best thing. But the tricky thing is, if you ask your child, here you've got some pencils and you can make a nice drawing, or you can play Minecraft. Minecraft gives you way more dopamine hits per minute than drawing a picture. So the child will always go for Minecraft. And if you say you get either an apple or chocolate, then chocolate gives more dopamine. So it's the resisting all the temptations that gives you more happiness in long term. Yeah.
So how to make the kids' mind attuned, so that they choose apple instead of chocolate?
Uh, you have to be a bit firm sometimes. So, like, you can play the video games 1 hour and then it stops, and then the kid will cry because the dopamine goes down and it feels a little emptiness. But it's the same thing you say to an alcoholic, like, you should stop drinking eventually because it doesn't help you. But it's a big challenge in today's lives because there are so many things going on, and we're getting so many dopamine hits per day on television, in games, on your phone, definitely, and with food, etc.
Profound.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you say when the dopamine level going up and down is too random, or it's the difference is too much, it also leads to depression.
Yeah, yeah.
So what exactly is the depression?
The depression is actually when, well, there are several kinds of depression. Sometimes it's genetic, but when it comes to dopamine, it also has to do with serotonin. If you're being overwhelmed too long for so many things, then your baseline simply goes down, and this is when you will start to feel depressed. And then the best thing you can do is take some rest and meet people. But the thing is, if people feel depressed, the least thing they want to do is to meet other people. But actually, like meeting each other now, there's oxytocin, so we trust each other more. There's dopamine because we're having fun doing this. And there's even serotonin. We both become emotionally more balanced after talking with each other for an hour. So just being in a group and meeting people is very beneficial to the brain. But if you're alone sitting on the couch scrolling through your phone, this is what leads you eventually to depression.
So I guess we can apply to our work life as well. So as people are moving more towards work from home thing, so when you are doing work from home, you are meeting less people. That means you have less serotonin in your body.
Yeah, so I always say, at least if you work full time, be at the office 3 times per week and meet each other, because if you're in the office working alone, again, doesn't help. So a lot of companies are going back to people meeting at the office, because if everyone is working 5 days a week at home, you do not see people, you're only working at a screen, then your whole culture will vanish eventually. Because if we want to stay connected and have fun with each other, yeah, we are originally creatures that were living in groups. This is still the programming of our brain. And now working at home, it's nice because you can go to the grocery store and do it to the washing machine and pick up your kid from school. So I totally get it, but don't do that every day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. So Paul, let's coming back to our topic of AI. What have you changed in yourself, or what you are planning to change in you in day-to-day life to survive in this AI era? Do you have anything in your mind?
Yeah, but I'm mostly the kind of curious guy that dives in stuff very early in the process. So I was working with AI many years ago, and then it didn't do that much. But suddenly, there was a version of ChatGPT, and I thought, okay, now we're getting somewhere. So I use it every day for everything, for my communication, for translating, for creating videos. So I love it. It's very beneficial to me. So I work way faster, and like I had 4 people working for me, and now I do a lot of things myself. So it took a few jobs, but yeah, I love it. But I don't think it can replace humans everywhere.
So basically now you are not using cognitive part of your brain, and you have dumped it all on the AI. If I can summarize it in this
Yeah,
way.
but I was creating a leadership training, and then I come up with ideas, but I add my ideas to Grok, and I asked it to come up with extra ideas. And then sometimes when he gives 10 ideas and 2 of those 10 are very useful, I'm like, oh yeah, wow. And then I ask, okay, I want to create a funny video about this and that. And then he comes up with ideas, and I'm like, okay, let's. So it's AI combined with my brain that gives the greatest output. And I'm asking it to create a video for me. And it comes up with a video, and I'm like, this is not what I truly meant. And I'm prompting it again. And eventually we come up with something that's actually funny. So, yeah, I use it every day.
When I'm listening this, I have a question in my mind. I'm thinking that right now, okay, you see, okay, you use two out of 10 ideas given by Grok, right? But I guess in future, 10 out of 10 ideas of Grok could be better than your 10 ideas, right? It could be possible.
Could be possible.
Could be possible.
Definitely, yeah.
Then, of course, you or any other human will stop or reduce using their cognitive part of brain.
That's definitely the tricky thing is if we become lazy due to the AI, because our brain is developing because we're training the brain. So now I'm constantly training my brain because I use my own creativity. But you're so true. If in 2 years Grok is 10 out of 10 better than myself, I'm just using that, and then our IQ might even drop because of that.
Yes, the next time you will think, oh, Grok can give me the output, then why to spend time there? Let's directly go and ask Grok, right?
And it's sometimes getting there, because someone was asking me 5 questions about the brain, and I didn't have time to answer. So I said to ChatGPT, answer these 5 questions in the style of philosopher Paul Smit. And because it knows my books, it knows my writing style. And it gave me 5 answers, and I was like, I couldn't have done this better myself. So I simply replied with the text from ChatGPT because it was in my style. And I was like, this, where are we going? You know, it's we'll see. And if 10 out of 10 is better than your own idea, then it becomes a very interesting point.
Then in that case, do you see it's an issue, as you say, that if our brain develop when we use it? So when we stop using it or we reduce using it, the development of our cognitive part of brain will also get affected.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's already happening.
So how will it affect future of humankind?
It could be that the next generation becomes very lazy because ChatGPT does everything for you. It's. I was walking in the grocery store in Albert Heijn, and I couldn't find. I couldn't find the things I needed, and it had to be somewhere in the freezing area. And I simply took 5 pictures. I edited to ChatGPT and like, where do I find them? And it's the third and it's the second shelf. And I was like, oh, is this? So even I'm becoming lazy because now I'm not asking someone there like, could you help me? I'm like, just, where is it? So yeah, it becomes a very interesting future that everyone will be stuck to their phone. Yeah.
Okay. And what strikes me is, like, as we were discussing about losing the job with the AI, so you mentioned that people who will use AI will retain their job, and people who will be left behind, who won't adopt it.
I'll give you an example. One of my employees, he was a designer. And I told him, he was only 21. I said, you need to use AI now because otherwise your job will be gone. And he's like, no, I do everything myself. But then the new things of Grok came out, and I was like, I can do things way more fast and better than what you can. So I fired him because he didn't use AI. Otherwise, I could have used him and we could create a lot of things together. But he simply didn't want to go there. He was a bit lazy. And now I talked to him last month. Like, yeah, I'm now studying AI. And I said, yeah, it's a bit too late for me, but you will find another job. But he was too lazy.
But yeah, pointing to that, I also feel that, like, I'm in software industry and I have talked with multiple engineers on this topic, and what I have got mixed reviews about AI. Like, some people say that we don't use AI because we want to build softwares ourselves. We want to use our brain. We don't want to become lazy. And some has the perspective that, okay, if it's increasing my output, why shouldn't I use AI? But in future, if you see the people who won't use AI will develop their brain more than
Yeah, true.
who are using AI. So, who will have better future? The people who are using AI or the people who are developing their brain more? What do you think about that?
Uh, the it's way better to develop your brain.
Who will have better
definitely.
future?
But what you're
The
seeing
people
now
who are
that
using
the,
AI
the
or
basic
the people
stuff
who
of
are
programming
developing their
is
brain
mostly
more?
done also in software companies with AI. But the experts need to double check if the AI is doing it correctly. So there's still again the human in the loop.
Yeah.
And so what they now do, because otherwise it's called vibe coding, which means I want to create this kind of software, and it creates the software, but when you read the code, you have got no clue what it's doing. But then if there is a mistake, it's kind of tricky. Like, can we as humans still find the mistake? So now what they do, they simply let AI build like parts, they check it, and then they integrate it. So I think definitely there's the combination of the human brain and AI, and then people still use their brains in a different way to check if the code is right. And I think these who combine those two will be the fastest. So when I talk to programmers, this is mostly what they do. It's the combination.
Okay. Paul, one last thing. So, if anybody listening to this podcast is anxious about that, okay, my job will be replaced by AI, what important point about human brain you want them to remember and understand so that they feel less anxious about it?
I would
Like,
only
okay, my
advise
job
them
will
to
be
use
replaced by
AI.
AI.
That's the only thing, because your
What,
job, there will
what important
always be
point
jobs,
about
but
human brain you
the
want them
kind
to
of work we
remember
do
and
will
understand
change,
so
because
that
a
they
lot of
feel less anxious
repetitive things will be done.
I would
by
only
AI,
advise them to
but
use AI.
if you
That's
use
the
it,
only thing,
you will
'cause
definitely
your job-
keep your job. It will change, but if you're lazy and you do nothing, then then someone else will take your job. So and it's easy, because you just go to Grok or Gemini or Copilot or ChatGPT, start prompting, and you can even ask the thing itself to learn AI. Ask ChatGPT, how can I learn AI for my job the fastest? And it will give you ideas. It will tell you everything. You can even talk to it. And sometimes when I use new software, I'm talking to ChatGPT and I'm saying, where should I click? And it's just guiding me through the software. And I'm so much faster. And anyone can do that. So the possibilities are endless. But you need to simply go to the piece of software and start using it. And it's not that scary. It's even a lot of boring jobs can be done with AI. So it might become a better future. We'll see where it goes.
Thank you so much, Paul, for
Yes,
joining us and for
you
having
too.
this beautiful conversation. I guess a lot of people will sit with this conversation, sit quietly and think about it, think about their future. It was really helpful. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, it was nice. Thanks.
So what we discussed today was it's mostly about your consciousness. In future, we don't need more intelligent or smart humans, but we need humans which are more present.
That would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that we can
Good
we can
summary.
summarize. We can summarize it like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
In future, we don't need. So basically,
more
your consciousness
intelligent or
is something
smart
which is
humans,
irreplaceable.
but we
need humans which
and
are more.
as
As
you
you develop more consciousness,
That would be nice.
you become
Yeah.
more human. If something affected you or you picked up something from this conversation, please share it with somebody who can use it, for whom it can be useful. And thank you again for joining us today. Until next time, keep building a life that feels peace on the inside. And this is Life Architects.